Okay, hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. Sorry, just doing some checking, actually. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerd on Twitter. You can find me at TPCaps on Instagram.
Started with Columbia down the way.
And I'm still doing some checking, so please... I'm not liking what I'm not hearing. I don't know.
Let me clear my throat.
I am hoping that we are being heard out in the audience. I cannot tell. But we're just gonna keep on going, and if not, we'll have to fix it in post somehow. Well, somehow it'll be me. Anyway, and it won't be today. But with me are the person who made those sound effects that you have heard so loud and clear. 1agent_70 in Twitter and Instagram and Threads.
What's up, everybody? We're coming to you just a little bit behind schedule, but the holidays are what they are. But we are now here just a few days before Christmas. I am co-hosting from the Borough of Kings.
Is Brooklyn in the house without a doubt?
Indeed. Sometimes things happen, and sometimes you have to recover from things, and sometimes you have to test things in a live fire situation to see if things are going as they should. And sometimes you have to see about it. Sometimes. Okay, that's a good
sign.
That's a damn good sign. All right, so we're gonna keep this train of popping, and say that this you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
And you can find us also on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know they did that. That's cool. Folks, we are coming to, we are coming to you the day before Christmas. So happy Christmas Eve to everyone who celebrates. I know that is probably a Christian /US thing. Well, it's not a US /US thing, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of people outside of people in the US, but But things are things. So we hope that folks, and once you hear this, will probably be after Christmas. Now that I'm thinking about it, so hopefully you have had a great, wonderful, and peaceful Christmas holiday. Or Christmas Day and Eve, and don't get too fat off of food and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we hope it's great for you. What was I going to say? I don't know. We're going to start off with, though, talking about last week's Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which we know that by the time we are recording tonight, there are 2, but we since the new episode is still fresh and I haven't seen it, can't really talk about that much about that. So what was it? Episode 6 was last week, and I don't know if you have the name of the episode.
I can get it in a second. It won't take very long.
Cool.
It won't take very long for me to get it. I also don't want to run ahead, because if I'm not mistaken, we have the names of not just this week's episode, but next week's episode also.
Right.
Oh,
They do kind
just
of
give
load
a
those.
moment, and I am going to see it. Okay, so last week's episode is Terrifying Miracles.
So yeah, and I guess we if you watch the show, you can probably guess what said Terrifying Miracle was, which was stemming from another episode. At least that's what I'm taking from it anyway.
Right.
About something that folks thought that happened that apparently did not. And we knew that didn't. Because let's face it, you can't keep a good mon down.
Right. And ultimately, I think what was cool about this episode is that you get to see some of the more interpersonal relationships that are teased as having occurred. And then, we actually get a little bit of payoff because we get to see present day and previous iterations of at least one of the characters, specifically Kurt Russell's character.
Lee Shaw, yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is that we actually get his full name. This is a very minor spoiler. We actually get his full government name in this week's episode 7, which Roddykat has not seen, but Colonel Shaw has the opportunity to literally spit out his entire name first, middle, and last. He has an occasion for it, and it's kind of amusing. But in any event,
okay.
Sorry?
No, go ahead. I'll say what I say after you finish.
Getting back to Terrifying Miracles last week's episode, one of the things I was referring to is a little bit of the sexual and romantic tension between Colonel Shaw and Dr. Goodness, I forget her last name. It was Keiko. Miura, Dr.
Yeah.
Miura.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because there's obviously before Dr. Miura and Dr. Randa get together ultimately.
Mm-hmm. So, and also because of that potential wannabe blossoming relationship or not, something else, we get to see how something else comes to pass. A slight changing of the guard, as some would say. And also, Shaw fucked up.
Right.
Because he was being led by, he wasn't being led by the nose. I shouldn't say that, but he was leading his own self by the nose, put it that way.
Right. What ultimately he was, chasing something that was ultimately not going to be his. So.
Right. But and going back to what I was going to say before I forget, no, he has not said it, but his full name has been said on the show a couple of times already. Actually.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, in the first episode, they say his full name gets said out by one of the by the general dude, I think. So
okay.
But yeah, it's not the first time his whole government was put out there. In fact, I think they might have said it again in this particular episode 6. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, though, what we have here in this episode is not just that bit about Shaw and his, and his connection to the Randas, and when I say the Randas, I also mean Dr. Miura.
Right.
Also, what we have here is the connection between some work that the Dr. Miura and Randa and Colonel Shaw observed being done, and what I guess could be best put as the next generation of that work being done.
Yes.
We get to see that being done, not quite in the present day, but in the recent past.
Yes. So yeah, so in that particular episode, there was we see something get brought up, and it gets brought up later on in an episode, and we also actually, we can go ahead and say this part, I guess. Part of a goal was sort of met with the Randa kids. because they were trying to find someone, and they did find them. They didn't stick around that long,
Didn't
but they
exactly
found them.
turn out the way they thought.
Right. So we still have a mystery going on with that piece of the puzzle. And we're going to go into, as Agent 70 kind of informed me prior to the show, the current show, or at least episode 7, is getting into some backstory about another character.
Right. And it's not really a spoiler, because if you're in the Apple TV app, you'll see what the next episode is titled.
Right.
And it's almost a play on it's a play on an older let's say a long time saying, but people who are Eminem fans will have a particular lyric running through their head.
Mom Spaghetti?
No.
Which is kind of funny, that because, well, for another reason, because that's been coming up a couple of times lately in relation to the Goonies, at least with me. But anyway, that's
right. Well, I mean, he's marketing Mom Spaghetti as a spaghetti sauce. Right.
Oh, wait, really? Like an actual?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. That's funny.
Oh, you knew that? That's
I
funny.
did not know that. No.
Okay.
You know what? Sure, it makes sense. Whatever. But I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah. So back to Monarch, though. Yeah, like I said, I can't really say too much. I can't say anything about the most recent episode, because I haven't seen it in Agent 70 had. So I don't know if there's something else that he wants to mention off of it.
Not at all. I do not want to spoil it for you, and having it just come out today, it would only be appropriate to talk about it next week.
Right.
Well, not today, but yesterday. Since we're recording this a little late because of a little bit of the holiday, a little bit of things happening. So
yeah. So, but yeah, I probably won't watch it tonight, but I'll probably try to catch it tomorrow sometime.
Sure, you have tomorrow, you have Monday.
Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna be doing things Monday, but yeah. Either way, it'll be soon. So the only thing I'm kind of curious about that I've been wondering about with the show is, we saw a thing happen with it's spoiler alert, folks, a legendary monster shows up once or twice during the course of this thing.
Right.
And I'm kind of wondering, we don't necessarily get the sense of it, but I'm kind of wondering if the one thing that happens that kind of made people think a certain thing about him ends up happening because of that particular thing. So we know Godzilla, we know the extent of Godzilla's powers. I'm wondering if before that thing happened, he did not have that, and that was the impetus for that happening. But they're not showing that yet because of reasons.
Right.
And also, once again, well, not even once again, but we haven't heard the titular Godzilla theme. And I'm kind of wondering if they're going to save that for the last episode, because they want to be like, okay, no, this is going to be the thing that ends of this going into the next movie, and they're just going to end it up with him just roaring and they doing the thing then. Even
Maybe
we've seen him. So, because it kind of bummed me out slightly a little bit. It was like, wait, he's shown up, but they didn't do the music. But I also kind of get why, I think, if they do it that way.
Right. The last thing I'll say on this is that, do we have an episode count on this? Is it 8 or 10?
I believe it's 10, but I'm not sure, actually.
Okay, which means we still have 8 coming up next week and then 2 after.
Right.
So I wonder if they don't close with Godzilla, but rather with Kong.
That would be an interesting twist.
Because obviously it's all been very Japan-centric, very Godzilla-centric.
Right.
But I wonder if they don't throw us a little curveball and end this with Kong, because they open it kind of with Kong because of the Skull Island reference.
Yeah.
They open it with John Goodman running right on Skull Island.
Right.
But they don't. Right, but they don't make any mention of Kong for the entirety of this until maybe the end.
Maybe. So I'm
You
seeing
know,
here.
it's an interesting thought, you know,
It's true.
because now Godzilla and Kong are intertwined, and not just from the previous movie, but the next one.
Right. I am seeing on IMDb there are 10 episodes listed.
Nice.
So
That's a good thing. I
Yeah.
like the series. They've done a very good job.
And they've been like full, you know, like they've been all close to an hour, and they've been pretty packed, and you can safely say that is so far has been one of those that's been like, you know what, I'm not looking at the time. there doesn't seem to be any wasted moments in the show.
Right. Trust me, I am more than pleasantly surprised at the way this show is turning out.
So yeah, even though no one knew what the hell it was supposed to be about outside of what it was, what the title and whatnot is intimating, but
Right.
You can't really say. So yeah, but anyway, that is Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I will definitely be checking out the next episode when I get a chance. And I don't think we have anything. Well, we will say that it is the 23rd as of this recording. The second season of Marvel's What If has started, and they're doing one per day. So which means at this point 2 have come out. I have not seen either one yet, but Agent 70 has, so he can give his impressions on the 2 that he saw.
I've seen both. The second episode is stronger than the first, but I like the first one also. But that second one is a doozy. And I'll say the one thing that I mentioned to Roddykat, which is not even a spoiler, but when I told it to Roddykat, he basically said, well, that's one of these things that comes up in discussing Marvel animation, which is you're always surprised at who or which actors they are able to bring in and which actors do not reprise their live action roles in the animation. So when you take a look at the credits and just in listening to the episodes as they go along, you're like, well, that's actually, X person's voice, but that's not Y person's voice. So, you wonder why they would not participate in this particular project. That's purely conjecture at this point.
Right. So right, yeah, like I said, yeah, we've seen that all through season 1. But yeah, if he's basically teasing me on something interesting, I'm like, okay, so who in the world are they talking about in this particular case?
Right. Basically, what I was getting at is there's one particular role that I was very surprised to see an actor not return to reprise that role.
Right. Is it Louise? Don't do that to me if it's Louise.
No.
gotta have Luis in at some point.
We need him back at some point. He was not in Quantum Mania. No spoilers. Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then plus that's months old or whatever. So it is what it is. Well, speaking of news, we know who won't be coming back after Quantum Mania, but that'll be something.
Oh no! I was about to say we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Things hadn't been confirmed. It hadn't been
finalized.
No, that the case was still going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we just got the actual thing, but I'm sure folks would probably know what I'm talking about. We'll get into that in the news, but first we're going to get into the books with starting off with Amazing Spider-Man number 40.
Amazing Spider-Man number 40 is written by Zeb Wells with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz, and letters, of course, by our favorite lettering paisan VC's Joe Caramagna. We are, again, neck deep in the throes of the gang war. And this issue jumps right into where Spidey, She-Hulk, and their surprise partner in not crime or non-crime, as they take on various factions who are duking it out in the gang war. One thing that comes up is Tombstone playing strategist, but to a certain extent also playing things closer to the vest than I think Spidey and She-Hulk no.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'll kind of leave it at that and hand it off to Roddykat because that's really, you know, where we are on this front in the gang war. I know that there are a couple of character stories that progress somewhat here, and the cliffhanger page is very much tied into, I will say, the aftermath, or actually, let's just say the current stories in Fall of X.
Yes, because that character is one that's kind of been all, you know, in a few different places at this point, and there being one of them.
Right.
Which actually, that reveal was weirdly enough kind of a surprise, but kind of wasn't. You know, it was like, oh, okay, but at the same time, like, okay, sure, why would he be here? You know,
Right.
During all
Right.
of
It's
this.
all about remembering what's happening now in the greater Marvel universe.
Right.
You know, it's like they had to bring this particular character to New York from where the character was, so things had to happen. Or, you know, they had to time it correctly.
Right. So outside of that, though, I kind of enjoyed I kind of enjoyed the way the issue started, because it started with a certain group that's more known to go up against a certain avenging archer from days past, and even in live action version, I guess you could say. So
Yes.
the fact that they were still around and showing up here, even as, you know, opening fodder, was still kind of fun to see.
All we have to say is one word: bro.
Yep, bro. I was like, oh snap, it's them. Which, you know, you could tell it right off the bat before you even say it, but still. So, but
Yeah.
but that was kind of fun to see before it kind of jumps off into the thing. We get another fastball special. I will say that it was like, which I love how the whole thing, like, yeah, just She-Hulk just got Peter, got Spidey just in the palm of her hand, just fling, which is kind of funny. But it's always funny. It was like, wow, they just been throwing, no pun intended, throwing the fastball specials around, you know, in the last little bit. But
Right.
but yeah, the whole thing with Tombstone is probably is I assume going to end up a certain way. But also it kind of had me thinking, it's like, wait, wasn't this other Fisk dead?
Kinda. I kind of don't remember how this other Fisk came back.
Right. Or if
Um,
they're back, you know.
Right. I kind of don't remember. We read
Right.
too many comic books.
Yeah, there is that.
I wanted to add that I as much as I kind of chuckled at the redesign of the Beetle, I thought it was needed because we needed to differentiate this Janice Lincoln version, despite the fact that it's female. We know, right? It's a female Beetle. You know, kind of her taking a darker path and possibly you know, siding, you know, or going down a darker path as opposed to where she had been before, so they had to differentiate like one version of the character from another.
Right. They basically gave her another suit like Spidey.
Kinda, but you know, I like that they made her, you know, like it's more, it's noticeably more, for lack of a better term, villainous looking.
I sure, yes, but also I'm like, what? She's going more demonic with this or something, because that's what it more looks like than you know, than the old suit. But
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what? Sure, everybody's getting new suits at this point. You know, Spidey didn't change suits yet, but you know, he just got out of one, so I guess that's why not.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, this is just probably, you know, we've talked about this particular issue longer than it probably needed to. The only other thing to say is Madam Mask is making a play, which is
Yes.
not an unheard of play given her pedigree. So yeah, there is that. So, you know, pieces are moving, things are going on, and like I said, the reveal at the end just kind of brings on an old classic back into play.
Sure.
With that, we are going to go into the next book, which is Doctor Strange number 10.
Doctor Strange number 10 is written by Jed MacKay with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Heather Moore, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So in this follow-up, we're basically picking up right where the last issue left off with Doctor Strange versus General Doctor Strange, as it were, or at least General Strange, who is far more ruthless version of Stephen Strange. And one interesting thing that they do in this issue is that they find a way to resolve the conflict without, I'll use the word fisticuffs because it does come up in a comic book that I read this week.
Mm-hmm.
But also there is an underlying, or let's just say a background mystery that continues to play out in the pages of Jed MacKay's Doctor Strange, and that involves Clea. Not so much a mystery, but a subplot, which involves her not wanting to jeopardize what happiness she's found after all this time, now that Stephen Strange is back from the dead. So with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah, no, there's actually not much else to say about it. It was an interesting end to, or resolution to that whole General Strange thing, and I suspect that is because that they're going to come back up for something else,
right?
Because they didn't just outright get rid of him. And I suppose what we saw in the epilogue is definitely going to loom over things. I guess rightly so, but we'll see where how long Jed MacKay is gonna kind of spread that out, and use what he still got going on. So
sure, I enjoyed this issue. Well, one of the things that really stands out in this current run of Doctor Strange is Pasquale Ferry's art and Heather Moore's colors and how they complement each other, because it's. I kind of hesitate to say what would Steve Ditko's work have looked like with digital colors, and how trippy would all that have been. Because there are some trippy visuals going on and some really cool and inventive layouts that are happening in the pages of Doctor Strange right now under the care of Pasquale Ferry, and seeing how some of the colors are dialed back or muted or even made even more psychedelic looking, given the palettes that the current color artists can use with the computer enhanced coloring. I can only imagine what the Ditko art would look like with those colors. The Ditko Strange art. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
No, I'm actually glad you mentioned it up, because there was a certain part of this issue that kind of made me think of, especially when it got trippy like that, like we were saying, kind of reminded me of the Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise miniseries from last year, because that was Heather Moore also colored that also, so I guess kind of makes sense. But it was Trad Moore who wrote and penciled it,
right?
And the visuals there were bonkers
trippier.
Trippy. Yes,
yeah, that's Trad Moore. Trad Moore is, I get that.
So it was like, are they going back into that thing, or this is just like touching on? But like you said, I think you hit it a little bit more on the head. It was like it's kind of more Ditko-esque thing than what he was going. But it did kind of make me think about that for a second.
Yep.
Anywho's, but yeah, it was a good issue. I'm looking to see what's going to happen next in the pages of Doctor Strange. So that's it's cool stuff. Now though, since we don't necessarily have anything else in common, we can go ahead and hit up spin up the minigun.
I will spin up the minigun and start off our rapid fire review segment.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right. First up is Nightwing number 109. It's written by Tom Taylor, with art by Stephen Byrne, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. So we finish off this little mini pirate storyline that Nightwing has been on, and it resolves itself in a very cool way. There is some closure to be had between characters, but also an old wound opened up at the end of this issue, which was kind of an underlying plot point during this pirate story. And it's interesting to see how these stories just continue to build upon each other, especially on some of the things that happened when Nightwing was not Nightwing, but rather Rick, when he had been, after he had been shot in the head by KG Beast. So Nightwing continues to be a good book. This is a potential candidate for Kliq of the Week. Next up is Philadelphia number 32. It's written by Rodney Barnes, with art by Jason Sean Alexander and Herman Aramuspe, colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Marshall Dillon. Philadelphia continues to go a little bonkers when it comes to guest appearances, because we went from one Wild Image guest appearance to another. We are now firmly established that Philadelphia is inside the Image Comics universe, which is wild because they've really done a number on the city of Philadelphia. They even have they even have characters make digs against the city of Philadelphia in this issue. So you wonder how these other Image characters might react to, an actual city being under siege by vampires. So at the end of the day, this is still fun. I'm not so enthusiastic about the Image guest stars, but I understand, I'm not, I feel like I'm paraphrasing Chris Rock. I'm not saying they should have put these guest stars in it, but I understand. So next up is Gods number 3. It's written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. If you have not yet picked this up, it's still early. Reissues in, you still have the opportunity to jump on while the getting is good and while things are still relatively fresh and easy to understand. That's a lot. It's a lot to say that when it comes to Hickman writing, because there's a ton of mumbo jumbo in here, a ton of it. I'm talking about issues 1 through 3. I'm talking inclusively about all the issues. There's a ton of mumbo jumbo because there's quite literally 3 issues of world building going on at the same time. We have 3 issues of introducing mostly new characters, with a few Marvel characters thrown in to help provide some grounding, as it were, some background and context for how these characters fit into the greater Marvel universe. What Hickman is doing is expanding upon the magic and somewhat cosmic parts of the Marvel universe. These characters seem to fit in relatively seamlessly, relatively, I guess the best way to put it would be they complement other characters that already exist in the Marvel universe. Whether or not he's able to land the plane on telling a good opening story arc is still left to be seen, but I think that these characters are well written. I think that they are, I hate to say realistic, because we're getting some point of view characters here, which are kind of fun. They're very much realistic in the sense that they are of a more modern time. So you can kind of hear modern things coming out of their lips, as it were. So, I think it's worth giving a chance to, and I'm going to stick with it. Next up is Uncanny Avengers number 5 of 5. It's written by Jerry Duggan, with art by Javier Garron, colors by Maury Hollowell, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. I enjoyed most of this book except for the ending. I was not a fan of how this book ended. It's not a Pyrrhic victory, as it were, but it's more more analogous to some of the real world happenings that are going on in the world right now. And that's the part that's kind of a drag. But all in all, I thought it was fun. Obviously, this is Cap leading a team of mostly X-Men. It's the Unity Squad of Avengers, and it's fun to see him interact with some of these characters, especially Rogue and Quanon, who is Psylocke now, and as annoying as Quicksilver is, it's nice to see him, get smacked around every once in a while. Last but not least is Wolverine number 40. It's written by Benjamin Percy with art by Ibrahim Mustafa, colors by Frank Darmada, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. Wolverine has been, in the last several months, a story of Wolverine on the run from the forces of Orcus and looking to team up with various characters in the Marvel Universe that he has had at least mostly positive relationships with. We're talking Black Panther, we're talking Captain America, we're talking I think I'm missing one. So I remember there was a Black Panther, there was Captain America. This issue was Spider-Man. I think I'm missing one, and I apologize. But this issue is Spider-Man, and to see Wolverine interact with Spider-Man in just a really fun way as they take on the forces of Orcus here is just pretty fun. Percy has a way of writing Wolverine interacting with other heroes that just seems right. It seems right. And it does bring in some of the context of Wolverine's very, very long history in the Marvel Universe. It brings that context to bear in how each of these characters interact with Wolverine now in the wake of Krakoa, in the wake of the fall of Krakoa. So, and in the wake of Orcus basically hunting down all the mutants. So, this was, the last few issues of Wolverine have been fun. Hopefully we will see this Fall of X stuff really start to ramp up, and we'll get to see how this storyline ends sooner rather than later. I feel like it's been drawn out just a touch. So, but I guess that's coming from someone who's been reading this since Jump. So it feels like it's been a while, almost too long. And with that, I will hand it off to Roddykat.
All right, and I'm gonna take the rock and dribble it down the court and sports ball. Star Trek number 15 is my first book. There we go. Written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, art by Barker's Toe, colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So this is Sisko and crew's continual mission on the Tzenkethi home planet. One part of the story is dealing with Beverly Crusher and Scotty trying to figure out why there is so much tectonic activity going on, and Scotty kind of internal monologuing about his place in things, but also things that haven't really changed because of some of these new folks are still kind of like the folks that we know he's used to serving with in ways. So there's that, and there's a lot of introspection going on in this issue, because you see a conversation between Tom Paris and Harry Kim about Harry Kim's blossoming badassness in this story, which we never got to see on Voyager. So, and they had that little talk on that, but it all kind of gets wrapped around in this Tzenkethi ritual that Sisko and crew and a Romulan contingent are taking part of, and the winner gets the right to basically court the Tzenkethi high priestess if they survive the experience. So, to which, given the end of this issue, who's to say how that's going to turn out for one particular character? But I don't think let's put it this way: if I had seen this in another way, I would have been pissed. But also, but I'm kind of holding tight to where I was like, no, that's not a thing that's gonna happen to a person of that status. But we'll see what happens in the next issue. But I've been continuing to like Star Trek, the ongoing book, so it's been pretty good. There's also some. Oh wait, no, that's the next book, which I get to, which is actually Star Trek Defiant number 10. Which is written by Christopher Cantwell, pencils by Mike Feehan and Powell Rodricks, with inks by Maria Keene and Powell Rodricks, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So this is the ongoing adventures of Worf and his burned crew of I might as well say ex-Starfleets at this point in time, who are, well, officially burned, crew of people, but they are still working for Starfleet unofficially because they've been sent to hunt down, basically bounty hunt ghosts of Star Trek shows past. In this particular issue is Ramazan, who was a one-off character from TNG, who was basically played it. He basically he was from the past, ended up in the future, but played himself as somebody who was in the future trying to get future tech to go back and sell in the past. But he got caught by the Enterprise, and I guess he was still running around, and the powers that be sent the Worf's crew after him, but not just after him. It's after him because what he's trying to do with another TOS thing or group of people, the Telosians. And if you know about the Telosians, they're psychic folks, and there's a whole thing with all of that, which I do love the resolution that happens at the end of this issue, because it kind of shows a couple of things well within Star Trek. So I was like, okay, that's still a thing. But I feel like this is all leading somewhere with what they're doing, but we don't know why just yet. But we'll see. Batman, Superman, World's Finest number 22 is my next book. Written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Steve Wands. So they're still on Kingdom Come Earth, which is Earth 22. They've kind of been on the run because, they're looking for Superman's former sidekick, formerly unknown sidekick, who had been thrown through time again after their last outing. But he ended up getting in bed with a character called Gog. And some folks may know of another character called Magog in the DC parlance. And, that comes into play during the course of this story, let's just say. And we also get, we'll also get a potential team up of the Earth 22 and I guess Earth Prime designated Supermans and Batmans, because of what is going on during the course of this story, or at least what's going on at the end of the story is what they find out about. So cool. Next up, Astonishing Iceman number 5 of 5. I believe this actually is the case. I should put that down there. Written by Steve Orlando, art by Vincenzo Caratu, color artist Hava Tataglia, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So yeah, this is the last issue, and it's a big knockdown, drag down fight with Iceman and this Mr. Clean character. It's probably no relation to the commercial spokesperson, and probably no copyright infringement, I assume. But hey, it is what it is. But this Mr. Clean person was an Orcus agent, and like I said, this is the last fight with them. And leading into where Bobby may or may not end up next, let's just say. So, yeah. And last one for me is Agent 7 is not the only one with an Uncanny book this week. Uncanny Spider-Man number 5, written by Cy Spurrier, art by Lee Garbett and Simon Buenfantino, colors by Matt Miller, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, actually, I should have. I kind of half skimmed, half read this book, so just say that right off the bat. But, Kurt at the end of the last issue supposedly got caught by Orcus, thanks to Silver Sable, which ends up being a ruse between him, her, and Mystique, because we know she's kind of been around. As I say in my notes, the writers having a little bit of fun expanding on Mystique's, continuing to expand on Mystique's abilities, because we know that was more expanded on in the X-Men Blue Origins story and other places. But there's a whole big thing going on while they're inside Orcus. We find a piece of the puzzle that I'm not sure we still know about, because we know there's some techno-organic business going on, to which Warlock does show up and kind of clean that part up. But I don't think we got to why that happened in the first place from this. And we get some fairly a funny moment that I told Agent 70 about between Mystique and Silver Sable, who has been seeing Kurt during this whole thing, this whole miniseries or series so far. So that is an amusing read itself. And that's pretty much it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
So I don't know if Agent 70 asked, but I surely did not ask our other.
I did not.
That's fine. They're probably busy doing other stuff anyway. So
yes, it is. Just a few days before Christmas. So
right. So it's all good. I was going to say something about one of the books Agent 70 mentioned, probably two of them actually. I know that whole Philadelphia day, because we were talking about it behind the scenes about that whole thing. Like, I'm not up on Philadelphia, but I read the kind of solicitation for this issue, and it was like, and the last one also, but I was like, okay, they're just kind of, I think my words was pulling a Skybound, which I know Skybound is not the only ones to do what they are doing now, but it was kind of funny that they're taking 30 issues to kind of do such a thing. Like, I don't know if it was kind of a directive somewhere in the middle of the story. It was like, hey, we need to do this, or that was something that was planned and already. But
it might be a sales thing. I wonder if it's a sales thing, just because we're 30 issues in. I don't know if there's an end in sight. That's kind of my, not concern, but my observation, that there's not necessarily an end in sight. I thought this book was going to end around 25, to be honest.
Right.
I thought that was like a natural stopping point, like the story that they had reached around 25. But we're 5 issues later, and we're like, well, it's 30. Are we ending? No. But after 30 is when we get into the Image guest stars. I'm like, well, are we jumping the shark? Are we going off the rails? We don't know yet.
Right. Or, like I said, either it's something they had already planned, or maybe there were plans for this book that went farther than what we thought. Because it almost could seem, at least hearing Agent 70 talk about it, like it seemed like almost a Savage Avengers-esque situation, but not exactly the same. Right. Like you feel like it should have ended somewhere, but not. But it's kind of still going. Which I guess is the question I wanted to ask you, though: is it still good?
It's good because you can still see what made it good.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get the guest stars.
Right.
That's the kicker.
And whether that's going to be a permanent thing or not.
Right. Whether or not it really adds anything to the ongoing story.
Gotcha. And the other thing I was going to mention, was talking about gods. I know somebody we know online, the Von Gloom, I guess is what he's going by. It made a statement about, because he's also reading this apparently. Made a statement about basically that this would read better in trade, which probably is the case, because I know I read the first two kind of back to back, and was like, yeah, it was a little bit smoother there than not, but I'm also used to, fairly used to Hickman's predilection for walls of words,
right?
And the mumbo jumbo therein. But I don't know. There was also something else about that I was kind of curious about, but I'm sure it'll hold until actually finish reading that issue. But do you have your click?
I think I'm going to go with my first choice because I enjoyed reading it the most. That being Doctor Strange number 10, even though it was a pretty quick issue. I definitely had another choice in Nightwing number 109, but I just wasn't as enthusiastic about how that story played out, although I did like how they picked up a particular plot point that's been long standing in the pages of Batman and Nightwing. So that is a point in Nightwing's favor. But I think this week, Doctor Strange number 10 is my click of the week.
I was going to say, if you didn't have one, there was one pretty much built in for you that I'm surprised that you didn't have on your list.
That being,
look up the thing here. Actually, you know what? Neither one of us read that original X-Men book.
Oh no, not with Greg Land art.
Wait, is he doing interiors? I thought he was just doing covers.
I think it's interiors too.
Oh, okay. Well, I would still read it, but I know it was. But no, I didn't. I wasn't thinking about it for that part, but it was because that whole thing we talked about that they were supposed to be, that whole adventure they're supposed to be getting on, and I'm curious as to how it's going to tie with everything that has happened in the last couple of years. But no, I am talking about Marvel Tales, Rom, and X-Men number 1.
Ah, that's funny. That's funny. I did skim that. I did skim that this week. I skimmed our review copy because it brought back a lot of memories, and it didn't, and I didn't have to dive into my ROM run to pull out those issues. They're basically it's basically a small collection of the 3 issues that the X-Men guest starred in the pages of ROM Space Knight, and brought back some fond memories of, I didn't read those. I didn't read most of those issues when they came out. I read them in back issue form as I was collecting, as I was filling in my ROM Space Knight run. So still brought back some good memories of reading those.
Because I thought about you when you saw it. I was like, wait, and didn't see it on your list. I'm like, I'm surprised. I'm very much surprised by that.
I mean, I own those books already, so it's not, it's just a reprint. So
I know, but still,
Yeah, and that original X-Men book is definitely Greg Land doing interior art. So cool.
Okay, well, I'll still check it out, but I'm kind of curious about what's going on inside. But yeah, I know that'll take you out of it.
Yes, no, not reading that. Nope.
So for myself, while I'm actually sitting here, was actually still trying to mull over what I was thinking about to picking. I mean, obviously, the 2 Star Trek books are in the running. Doctor Strange is definitely also in the running. Weirdly enough, the beginning part of Amazing Spider-Man is also kind of in there, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to. I feel like I gave it to Amazing fairly recently, and I don't want to give Will that much credit. I know that's kind of petty, but still,
I know. I get it.
So, I'm thinking though, both of the Star Trek books I think has been as good as they have been as has been stated has been in the past, and that's subjective because I like that stuff. So, but still, I think, you know what, I'm going to give it to Defiant, Star Trek Defiant number 10. It because it kind of, even though it kind of hit on a couple of nostalgia beats that it kind of played on, but that's the kind of thing that's going to happen in these books. Like you just kind of have to accept it. And like, yeah, one or both of these books are going to play on past history, or at the very least, this book is definitely going to play on past history in the coming issues because of the mission that Worf and them are going on. But there's always a reference to something in the past, regardless, because it's a Star Trek book. So,
yep.
And that being said, we have done this, and we are going to go into the news. But first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles, such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise, such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, that's cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
As we get into the cinematic news, which with a little bit of, well, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, I guess this was going to happen. But Marvel Studios drops Johnathan Majors following guilty verdict for harassment and assault. Yeah, you're a part of dumb shit. I mean, you fumbled the bag.
Fumbled the bag. Thank you. That is the term that I heard used when this story, obviously was in the offing and about to hit. Fumbling the bag is definitely what this dude did, because he already had the role. He had multiple roles lined up. I mean, multiple outings lined up in this role, and he just fumbled it.
Right. Now, that being said, and I don't want anybody to believe that I'm trying to take his side or anybody's side in the first way. There's other things that I feel like that are still have not come out about this that we don't know about, and we'll probably never will know about, because I feel like there's a little bit more there than we know. That being said, I feel like they were probably going to drop him regardless of whether he was innocent or guilty or innocent, because of the press. I feel that kind of personally.
Right. That's conjecture, but now we don't have to worry about that because they actually found him guilty.
Right. But so either way, that's, you know what? Hey, sorry, sucks that it happened, but you did it to you did it to yourself, partner. Next up,
Miriam Shore is in early talks to become the latest to join the growing cast of James Gunn's Superman Legacy. So this is, let's see here. Details of Shore's roles are being kept in the Fortress of Solitude. She is a Gunn alum, though, playing a henchwoman known as Recorder Vim in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Okay.
Sure.
I don't know if I remember her, but, they're obviously, wearing a lot of makeup and alien stuff when that, in Guardians. So sometimes it's hard to tell.
Right. Yeah, I can't even imagine who. Well, I kind of can't imagine what part she would have.
Yeah, I think I know. I think I know what part of the movie she's in. I just couldn't recognize which part she's playing.
Right. So either way, all right. Next up, speaking of the Gunn, James Gunn confirms that Major DC writer is integral to is an integral part of the DCU. That writer is Tom King. Let's see. Apparently, so yeah, the duo of Peter Gunn and Peter Gunn. Huh, that's funny. James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Anyway,
exactly. We know that they have confirmed, according to this article, that there's a number of creators working behind the scenes on DCU's future, and that includes Tom King, whose work alongside Bill was Everly on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which I know he had cited before on Twitter X/X, whatever you want to call it, don't care, is inspiring a forthcoming film of the same name. But also, this comes after Gunn named King and Greg Smallwood's The Human Target miniseries, which I don't think any of us read, as his favorite comic of 2023. Quote, Tom is an integral part of the DCU, not just WOT, that's World of Tomorrow. Gunn explained, he's one of the first people I showed the Superman script, asking for notes. He's included in various ways in numerous other projects, including WOT, and yes. Wait.
I remember, I think both of us read the first issue or two of Human Target.
I did, definitely. I don't remember if anybody else.
Because I remember we discussed it on the show.
Right.
So I think we both read, but we did not stick with it. So
right, which is similar to which I need to go back and finish reading that Danger Street, which just wrapped up. So because that one actually seems kind of harkening back to the whole Vision thing in a way, but anyway, so yeah, that's there is that. So I guess he's either going to be credited or slightly writing or something. Or he's going to have a hand in some of the YouTube should be, but DC projects. Next up.
All right, a voiceover artist known for her role in Beast Wars Transformers has sadly been confirmed as having passed away. Pauline Newstone was a Canadian voice acting talent with a long career, and she supplied vocals to several franchises. These included Western animation as well as English dubs of numerous anime. Newstone's passing at the age of 79 occurred earlier this year in May 2023, although the exact reasons are not currently known.
Rest in peace, Air which not the Rise of the Beast because that's Michelle Yeoh, but the original voice from the Beast Wars cartoons, as well as other things, such as War for Cybertron and other things as mentioned. So,
and she also voiced the villainous alien Frieza in the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, which is a better dub than the original. So that is something.
I'm like, dub? Dub? Who?
Yeah, there are some dubs. There was a few dubs that I still. But then again, I'm also an older standing anime watcher than Agent 70 is. So we kind of had what we had.
Didn't have access to the Japanese with subtitles that way.
Right. So until a little while later, and it was like, nope, this is better. Cool. Next up, though, we're getting into the anime corner, actually.
Anime corner. Hold on. I'll pick something good.
Yes. Wait, is that you or me?
It's you.
Okay.
Because I did the Beast Wars story.
Yeah. Spy Family Code White anime film channels Disney in official collab poster Waka Waka. That was me saying that, not it. But if you're watching the video version of this here podcast, you can see the two. Oh, interesting. You can see the Spy Family poster, which is mirroring the poster for Disney's Wish in Japan. Or at least that's the Japan version that they have up. Or actually, excuse me, there's the collab poster with the characters from those, that being Anna Bond for Spy Family, and I'm not sure the characters for Wish, but nevertheless, there are that. So it's a cool looking poster. Neat. Next up.
Bonda.
Yes, Bonda. He's a good dog.
Crunchyroll unveils its winter 2024 anime release calendar. So I guess, I need to like knock it through my thick head that the winter season is in fact January through March or April. In my brain, winter's already come.
Yeah, I was about
So,
to say.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, let's see. So, let's see here. So fantasy and isekai once again dominate Crunchyroll for winter 2024. There's a whole list of titles here that will be dropping in 2024. I'm gonna in the winter of 2024, I'm gonna do a real quick look through here for anything that jumps out at me. There is some One Piece stuff, obviously, that's dropping. Solo Leveling, the new stuff is dropping. Yeah, that's pretty cool for those people. For people, I know that Roddykat is probably scrolling through this right now. So enjoy this because the stuff I want is coming out a little later.
Hey, he might find something new, folks. We don't know.
I'll be watching Haikyuu for the 700 millionth time.
Well, that's probably a given. I mean,
you know what? I need to go back to my list of anime and consult that. Maybe I'll get back to Yu Yu Hakusho at some point.
Yes, which I need to go back to that live action, which I didn't go back to because of things happening in the past couple of days. But hey, yeah, Solo Leveling, like Agent 70 said, is definitely a topper for me. Burn the Witch 0.8 would be one if I had watched the original first 3 whatever odd episodes of that and finished Bleach, or got to a point where I felt like that would be a reason to. But then again, I know it's in the world of Bleach, not necessarily tied to Bleach. So what I don't see on this list is Fire Force. Again, what the hell? So that's all I'm gonna say about that. But they do have the Fire Hunter season 2, which I don't know what the season 1 is. Never heard of it. And High Card season 2, which I can only assume has to do with cards or gambling cards, not like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
But I don't know. So yeah, Solo Leveling, and Solo Leveling is only going to be in the next 2 weeks. And yes, so I am very much looking forward to that. As I continue through the manga. Anyway, as we continue through the show, next up, there we go. Jujutsu Kaisen, Nanami and Gojo actors secure major voice actor awards. So, Kenjiro Suda and Yuichi Nakamura won awards that fit very well for both themselves and the characters from the universe of Jujutsu Tech, according to this article. And that is from Japanese magazine Vivi, who gave them the awards. So cool. Next up.
Dr. Stone season 4 has officially been announced. The series will head towards its conclusion. So the season 3 of the anime reached its final episode earlier this month on December 21st. So at the end of the final episode, the production of the 4th season was announced. The season 4 is confirmed to be the final season of the anime adaptation titled Dr. Stone's Science Future. Okay.
I've heard good things about
this
one. Yeah, I've heard good things about this one, but I've never watched an episode of it.
Same.
So,
I don't know what's on my list. I'm looking at my list now. I don't see Dr. Stone on my list. I have not got a recommendation on that, but it is also a current anime.
Right. Yeah, I don't recall you talking about that either, so I don't suspect it to have been. So, Suzume Blu-ray and limited edition lead Crunchyroll's March 2024 home releases. So I think we talked about Suzume, winning an award last time we talked about it, or last episode that we recorded. So I guess that's cool because I have not watched this movie. But it says there's more One Piece, like Agent 70 said. So there's that coming in Blu-rays. Ruby, RWBY, and some other stuff. I don't see anything, any other notable thing. Oh wait, Spy Family Part 2 is going to be out on Blu-ray in March. So there you go. Next up.
Oh, we're transitioning over into comic book news. I don't see any manga news.
That's correct.
So Dawn of DC's Green Arrow run is officially becoming an ongoing series. Joshua Williams and Sean Isaacs' Green Arrow run started as a miniseries but gained enough popularity to become a robust 12-issue series before being extended again and becoming an ongoing. Okay.
Yeah, because I was kind of wondering about it. I had caught up with the end of that last issue, and it didn't seem as though, well, it definitely didn't seem like it was ending, or if it was ending as in a way of, hey, these people are going to show up someplace else. So it wasn't quite sure how that was going to go. And I think issue 7, came out this week. So that is another thing, but that's cool. That book's been not bad.
Good.
Yeah. So got me reading a Green Arrow book, which I guess it wouldn't have probably taken much. No, that didn't come out. That was Green Lantern that came out. Actually, excuse me. That was Green Lantern War Journal that came out this week that I forgot to read. But I'm also like 2 issues behind. Anyway, regardless. Speaking of Green Lantern, Green Lantern finally fixes a major fan criticism of his powers, and I believe this is spoilers for that Justice League. No, this is not actually. Excuse me. This is for Green Lantern number 6, which I have not read yet, actually, because I was also reading that. But I do know it was coming to a head with a meeting between him and Sinestro, and according to this, which I guess is spoilers for me, but also I feel like this is something that Hal Jordan's done before. So basically, he constructs a mech with his power ring upgrade, which is not necessarily a standard Green Lantern ring, as we've come to find out during the course of this thing.
Right.
And Sinestro kindly, did a kaiju. So almost it felt like it was harkening back to that Justice League Godzilla thing. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, next up.
All right, Batman Superman World's Finest celebrates a landmark issue with a special William Shatner variant cover. Really? It's a special celebrity cameo variant cover featuring sci-fi legend William Shatner to celebrate the landmark 25th issue. Wow.
If you love Dan Mora's art and it's some very good art, you will probably enjoy it. It's if you're watching the video version, you can see the variant cover. Next up, though, we get into a little bit of Toy Corner.
I was about to say, just hold out for a second.
Okay.
I didn't realize that Batman Superman World's Finest has Batman in the blue and gray.
Yeah. And they're in Earth 22 now, which, like I said, I talked about it earlier. And the Batman there is, it's the Kingdom Come universe. I don't remember if you've ever read Kingdom Come. So they're in those.
I did.
And,
I did. I read it when it first dropped, but
yeah.
I haven't really touched on it that often since.
Yeah. So that's where they are, basically, in that universe.
It's just interesting to see Batman in the blue and gray.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Next up, though, speaking of Batman, Batman Animated Series adds Joker, Riddler, and more to McFarlane Toys collection. So yeah, we're getting the McFarlane Toys are doing stuff from Batman TES. Do we actually have any? This story actually talks more about the voice acting than the toys, but okay, sure. Like it's like three paragraphs of talking about the voice acting, which granted is stellar, great, but I'm like, if you're talking about the toys, talk about the toys, man. But let's see, you can you can pre-order McFarlane's Target exclusive Wave 2 on their website. Each figure is $24.99 individually and will be released on January 26, 2024. If you watch the video version, you can see the figures there, which is a Batman. I don't know what is he got on his head? A Commissioner Gordon, a Riddler, a Joker, and I'm actually not entirely sure who the hell this is in the middle.
Oh no.
Hold
on, let me open it.
And I've watched the shit out of some Batman animated series, and I'm pretty sure this article probably says, but I didn't want to.
You got me wondering now. Check.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it says here, and I'm just.
All right.
Robot Batman. That's who that was. Okay. Got it.
Oh, with the red eyes?
Yes, but I mean the figure in the middle is the one I was talking about.
Lockup.
Lockup? Who the hell is that?
Look at the corner. Look at the corner of the box. It says collect.
Oh, that's the Build-A-Figure, right?
Yeah, that's the Build-A-Figure.
Yeah, but that's not telling me who that is though, because I'm not sure who the hell that is.
Oh, I think he was one of those one-off villains. I don't know if that's an actual DC villain, but it probably is.
Yeah. Well, if they're pulling it from the TS, I would assume that maybe it was, but I don't know. Or maybe that was from like when they did the Batman and Robin adventures or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Regardless, there's a Joker, there's a Riddler, there's a Gordon, and Robot Batman for some other reason. So, either way, next up.
Alrighty, so Diamond Select Toys Marvel lines has some new additions to it, and this is all coming out in the December 2023 solicitations. So these are all coming out in 2024. You're going to have the opportunity for a Marvel Select Annihilus, a Gallery Joe Fixit, animated Silver Surfer, and busts of Ben Reilly Spider-Man and Classic Hulk. And all of these are now up for pre-order. So yeah, that's a Scotty Young Silver Surfer. The Hulk bust. Ben Reilly. Go away, Ben Reilly. And yeah, so if this is up your alley, good for you. Happy for you.
That Joe Fixit, the last Joe Fixit statue looks actually not bad.
Sure.
But outside of that, yeah, the Annihilus, I guess would be the one if you didn't already have one.
Right.
Wait, was there already one?
For Marvel Legends? Yeah, but it's been a while.
Okay.
It's been a while. The character is definitely due for a redo.
Oh, and this is Marvel Select, not Marvel Legends, but
yes. But in terms of Marvel Legends, the character is definitely due for a redo, I think. Now I'm gonna have to Google that and double check.
It says the only Marvel Legends Annihilus figure was a Build-A-Figure back in 2006.
Oh, okay, right. So it has been a while.
Yeah,
that's what I remember.
So
that was pre. Well, that was early Hasbro, late Toy Biz.
Right. So cool. Next up, though, we get back into some comic book news. Quicksilver's new costume perfectly updates his original Avengers costume. And this is, I guess, this is going into that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver series that's coming out next year. And we get some character sketches from Russell Dauterman. If you're watching the video version, you can see the update to his old green uniform from the early Avengers / Brotherhood of Evil Mutants days. Which way? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing, and it's coming February 14th. just in time for Valentine's Day. Aw.
Aw.
Wait, did they do anything? No, man, I'll ask you after the show because I was about to ask you about Uncanny Adventures. Next up, though.
Marvel announces a prelude comic series for the upcoming X-Men 97 animated series on Disney Plus. It's going to be a 4-issue comic book miniseries written by Marvel Comics veterans. Let's see. So this is going to be created in conjunction with the showrunners. And I'm scrolling. So first issue is written by Steve Fox. Art by Salva Espen with a cover by Todd Knock. Looking to see who the other creators are. Because they talk about comic book veterans.
I assume Steve Fox is the one they're mean.
Yeah.
Who has been around for a minute.
Right.
Doing Marvel stuff, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and Salva Espen, I guess, Salva, I've seen that name, but I don't know. Either way, hey, yeah, sure. It's I think you said, I don't remember if you did. It's supposed to be it's supposed to set up.
It's meant to bridge, right? Well, I did not say this. It's meant to bridge the gap between the new series and the first.
Right. So cool. Next up, Marvel's new Ultimate X-Men reveals first details. Shout out to our homie Tim Adams for the story. And I guess I'll go so far as to say that, hey, March 2024 solicitations are out, and some of the stuff probably could have come from there. This particular article definitely did, but you can see solicitations from Marvel, DC, and Skybound's Transformers line in the show notes if you so choose to want to peruse that stuff. But this article is talking about Ultimate X-Men #1 and talks about what the solicitation states they're in, which is this is Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men #1, because that's who's writing and doing the art for this. Which, shout out to Peach Momoko, got her own little cottage industry or cottage series is going on within the X-Men universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it says here that quote, in Japan, urban legends have sprung to life and brought some unusual new powers with them. Meet Armor, Maystorm, and a group of new Ultimate X-Men, the likes of which you've not seen before. And this is, again, in the Ultimate Universe, if that wasn't made any kind of clear by the titling. Next up.
All right. In a book that I talked about earlier tonight, or in this episode, Hydra Captain America has officially adopted a familiar villain codename that is also, I forgot about this, that also has a role in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to spoil it. This book is very, very current, very, very new. But yeah, it's a familiar villain codename if you are familiar with the history of Captain America.
Yeah. Marvel's new Aliens What If comic will bring back major franchise character, which is kind of funny because I was actually thinking about this person and potentially this character recently. So yes, so Marvel's doing a What If in the Aliens universe, and the character in question is Paul Reiser's Burke from Aliens, who, if I remember correctly, didn't make it through that whole thing. Rightly so. And it also looks like Ripley's been misspelled. But hey,
oh, believe it or not.
Nice. But yeah, this is also from March solicitations. So damn silly. It's pretty good.
You have to be of a certain vintage to get that particular joke.
Absolutely. And we both are definitely of that vintage. Believe it or not. So
I should pull that as a sound drop.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down right now.
Nice. You could probably pull a fact or fiction with Frakes, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I didn't know Paul Reiser They misspelled Paul Reiser's name right in the second paragraph. That's crazy. Actually, they did it in the HTML text. Anyway, you know what? Paul Reiser is. I did not know Paul Reiser's in The Boys because
Yes.
I hadn't seen
Yes,
Paul
he has a
Reiser.
guest. Yeah, he has a guest role. It has something to do with Soldier Boy,
Right.
if I recall.
Some folks might remember Paul Reiser from Mad About You, probably most notably
course.
for some folks. Some might even go so far back or forward to the first Beverly Hills Cop movie.
1 and 2.
Was he in 2?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he did kind of show up for a second, and then okay. I thought he was just in 1. I wonder if they're going to bring him back for 4. That was the reason why I was thinking about it. It was like because
He's in 4. He's in the trailer.
Is he? I didn't see him.
He's in the trailer. Rewatch the trailer. He's
I meant
there.
to rewatch it then. Okay, because I was like, well, shit, they got to get everybody. I didn't think they were gonna get after him, but it makes sense. So
Listen,
that's why I was thinking about it.
But
Like,
the person, yeah, I was about to say they got everyone, but the person they can't get, unfortunately,
who's no longer with us.
Exactly. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. But either way, so yeah, Aliens What If number 1 preview is in this article. Wait, Paul Reiser is writing this? Or part of the writing of this? Well, according to this, it says is Paul Reiser, Leon Reiser, Leon Reiser, which I assume is some kin, Adam F. Goldberg, Hans Radionoff, and Brian Volk Weiss, all, and then it has W for writers.
No, Brian Volk Weiss from those what was it, Toys That Made Us shows.
Oh, okay.
Or toy stores around the, you know what I'm talking about.
Toys That Made Us, yeah. And movies that made us. Yeah. Actually, let's find this. Yep. He is the founder and current chief executive officer of the Nacelle Company.
Yep.
And subsidiary that whose channel I just saw something about recently. But and it looks like the story is what if Carter Burke had lived? Because spoiler alert for almost 30-year, probably a 30-year-old movie. Probably older than that, actually. Yeah, Paul Reiser's character don't make it out of the second Aliens movie, so this story is going to be about what if he did. And also, Guya Villanova is doing the art. If I neglected that, and for folks that can see the video version, the cover's done by Phil Noto, which you could kind of tell if you know anything about that. Anyway, anywho's, I don't know. I haven't been reading any of the Alien stuff, but I'm glad they're doing something with that. Or continuing to do something with that. So, next up.
All right, Peter David, co-creator of Miguel O'Hara, is returning to the character's adventures in Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, a new series with artist Roger Antonio, the artist best known for his work on Carnage. This is not the first time David has returned to the character and this world, but it has been a few years, and this marks what Marvel calls the next epic chapter in David's hit Symbiote Spider-Man saga. Okay.
Wait, it hadn't even been a few years, because I feel like he's had something between this year and last year. I had a couple.
With Spider-Man 2099?
No, but Peter David in general is what I meant.
I got you.
Yeah.
I think they're talking about a few years since he's touched on Spider-Man 2099.
Right. So, either who's, and yeah, it also mentions Peter David's health issues, of which he still has a GoFundMe. So I'm glad he's working in so he can get some, get some funds. New Ultimate Spider-Man will team up with classic Marvel villain. And that villain is, I guess this is a solicitation for Ultimate Spider-Man 3. If you are watching the video version, you can see who that person potentially is. And it's a person that we talked about, well, we hinted about earlier in a book, let's just say. But wait, it says here. Oh wait, actually, I could be wrong about that. But this solicitation, Oh, actually, one, it is a person that we've kind of been talking about in a way, but not the person that I was looking at in the from this cover. It's actually someone who's maybe returning back to an old an old but classic name if they continue to do something with this character. But this is the Ultimate Universe, so it's different. Next up, though, and lastly,
All right, our last story for tonight is that Titan Comics has revealed previews for Quentin Tarantino and Don Coppola graphic novels. So these books will be arriving in 2024. So these are previews for Amazing Amiziani's Quentin by Tarantino and Don Coppola Volume 2. Let's see here. So they released a trailer for Quentin by Tarantino alongside the previews for the two graphic novels. Okay. The Tarantino graphic novel delves into the career of the filmmaker, and the Don Coppola graphic novel chronicles the life of the Godfather's Francis Ford Coppola and will be the second installment in Amazing Amiziani's trilogy. Okay. So these are going to debut in 2024 for the price of looking for the price.
don't I believe it says actually?
Yeah, it doesn't have it.
Oh,
Look at
yes,
that.
it does. Yes, it does. $24.99.
There it is, $24.99.
240 pages. Arrives in February 24.99, and that's the Tarantino book, and the Coppola book is 228 pages, and will
same price
in July for the same price, right? So, if you're interested in either one of those, hey, go for it, I guess.
More power to you.
Exactly. And with that, folks, we have come to actually. There was another article I was going to put it in, but it was a spoiler for something that we hadn't read yet. So I was like, why do that to either one of ourselves? But with that, folks, comes to the end of the news. As you're looking at something you probably shouldn't be seeing. Let's get one last ad read, please.
Our last ad read of the night is for Amazon. Listen, it's almost Christmas. You're probably not going to get these in time, but if you need them right after Christmas, keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. It helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that is the end of this here podcast for this evening. I don't know why these shots keep moving, but I wish they would stop because that's annoying.
Right. We have officially, at the end of this recording, hit Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So, we turned the calendar into December 24th.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess from our entire show, I'd like to wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, all of that. And with that, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNews on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram and Threads. PCN_dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com and in all the little umbrella sites they're in. And Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. The Kliq Nation on Twitter, thekliqnation.com. And last but never, ever least, he is over at comicbook.com, writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal places of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Lizard Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
And of course, we mostly stream every Thursday night, most times, mostly on the YouTube channel of the Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/the Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you know when we are on live.
Okay, weird. Yeah, so hopefully all of you, if you celebrate Christmas, and I guess we're still in the throes of Hanukkah also.
Are we?
I don't know.
I thought they ended. I thought the 8th day already ended. But
I honestly don't know so I could be talking about my ass on that one. Regardless, whatever. But I do know Kwanzaa is the day after Christmas. I can safely say that. So, whatever holiday, or if you're, the rest of us and there's Festivus, for all of that.
I was about to say we just finished Festivus.
So there you go. All of the holidays, whatever you celebrate or don't.
Oh, Hanukkah ran from the 7th through the 15th.
Okay, so yeah, that was so probably should have said that last episode. But either way, it's still holiday time for somewhere. How do they? And we're going into the new year, so that's going to be something. In fact, yes, the next show comes a couple of days before the New Year's, just like this one was supposed to originally.
Right. We'll be recording the next episode right before the new year. Whether or not this podcast episode drops in time for you to hear it before the new year is another thing. But we'll save our New Year's wishes for the next episode.
Yeah, and this particular episode, as you are hearing this, will likely not make it before Christmas Day, which is Monday.
Right.
So
right.
We hope you've had, regardless, had a lovely holiday or a lovely day, and we're just going to say this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.